I know you grant me like 13 wishes, but can I get more? I wish you wouldn't read my diary. And we don't even know like when she written all these entries. Stars and sand. I detest being bottled up. Patience is a chief virtue among genies after all. We don't know when we will next be found and released, but it can be a difficult one to maintain. One tries to pass the time in any way we can, but as the centuries fall away, it can be quite taxing on the mind, especially since the lantern can get very claustrophobic at times. Keeping myself occupied is one of the reasons I decided upon keeping my diary. I would like to keep track of my wonderful times in the outside world and all the lovely monsters I meet. It would be something pleasant to turn to when I am sad and lonely, which seems to be more and more often. There are so many wonderful things about being a genie. The power you command is immense, and the places you find yourself can be amazing, and making wishes come true. What could be better than that? But there is also a very sad part too. Returning to the lantern when your tasks are done. Even though I am able to grant 13 wishes to each finder I meet, more than most of my kind. The time always seemed to pass too quickly. I just returned from assisting my newest finder, a sweet banshee girl who wanted nothing more than to be able to sing beautifully instead of wailing mournfully. The look on her face when she first heard her new voice was so surprised and joyful that it made us both burst out laughing, since that was her one heart's desire. It was so difficult for her to think of other ways to spend her wishes, but together we found ways to grant good fortune on her friends and family as well. She's even posted using her last wish so that I could spend more time in the outside world with her. But as always, we had to say goodbye. Still, it's marvelous when one's finder is someone who's truly kind. My father once warned me about my finders may not always be so pure of heart, and that I may find their wishes difficult to grant. But also, that is not all the genie's place to judge a finder's wishes. The finder must choose their own way. Thus far, I've been lucky, as all my finder's desires have been good nature, or at the very least, harmless. But I dread the day that I will hear an ill-meant wish. Like the Disney version of Aladdin, the genie can't make someone fall in love with you, can't kill anyone, and can't wish for more wishes. I think that's the rule. I'm just wondering, is Gigi is also following these different rules? In the lantern, there's an endless expanse of sand and the palace that I call home. Well, I say endless, but it doesn't really end or begin anywhere. Once when I was very bored, I set out from my home, intending to find the end of the world inside the lamp. But after an hour's walk, I came back upon the place I started from the other side, as if I had gone around in a circle. It's very disorientating. I tried it again a handful of times, but it's no use. The lantern is entirely self-contained, and I am contained within. It has a perk, of course. My palace is beautiful, and of course I can rearrange it however I choose. If I want a swimming pool, or room filled with ice cream, or a closet full of jeweled gowns, I need only nod my head. But without someone to say it with, it all seems very empty. In my world, in the lantern, I can make nearly anything I want. Nearly anything. That is except a friend. Okay, that is like a really touching and sweet story. That she only needed a friend and she doesn't care about all the material stuff that she has. I will never understand the desire for finders to wish for more wishes. A, it will never work. B, it really annoys your genie. If you're just like, hey, I know you grant me like 13 wishes. Technically all the other genies grant 3 wishes, but can I get more? It makes you sound really ungrateful. Besides, I grant 13 wishes per finder, which I think is quite a lot by genie standards. Some finders have told me of legends that genies grant 3 wishes only, but I heard of genies who can only grant 1. Wow, 1? I mean, that's so hard to choose 1 wish. Like, if you're so kind to wish for the genie to be free, might as well not have a wish yourself. And some who can grant even more than me, really? Like how many? Is there like a limit cap of genies? Or maybe it's like the more powerful they are, the more wishes they can grant? Of course, genies are quite rare and we don't often meet. Perhaps it depends on the magic of the lantern we're bound to. Are you telling me that different lanterns have different rules? Some kind of contract with the lantern? Are they born into the lantern? Or perhaps our own inborn magic? I suppose in many ways I am still learning about my powers myself. Maybe I'm capable of things ever I'm not aware of. Still, though, I wish that monsters would stop wishing for exponential wishes. It will simply never happen. Myself, I only have one wish. And oh, you can probably guess what it would be. I guess her wish to have a friend? How did the stranger knows my heart's desire? Why did the finder decide to listen to him? How could I have been so lucky? I do not know. What I do know is that now I have a friend. Oh, so this like mentioned in the actual 13 Wishes movie. So it's Giles Grimm from Ever After High telling the actual lantern holder to give Gigi a friend. That's basically turning her shadow into Whisp. And my long solitude within the lantern is at last at an end, thanks to that kind finder's wish. Her name is Whisp, and she is my own shadow brought to life during the shadow eclipse, and with a mind and will of her own. It's strange. You would think my shadow would be exactly the same as me, but Wiz is most definitely one of a kind. She's clever, mischievous, and funny, and bursting with new ideas. I hardly had time to wait. We've been having so much fun together. Yesterday, we raced Carmel across the sands. And today, she wants to repaint the main hall of the palace piece just to see how it will look, and anything she can think of. I'm happy to do. She seems to have some magic of her own, but it's not as strong as mine. Still, I think with time she can learn, and we have all the time in the world. Now I think about it, is Gigi the genie basically like immortal after she's free? Is she's technically still immortal, or she kinda ages slowly compared to a human? Wiz is angry with me. It's the first time that she has ever been angry with me. At least, I think so. The finders are the problem. Or rather, the way I come and go with their desires is a real problem. Wiz's power has been growing. But as of yet, she hasn't been able to emerge from the lantern with me. She's angry that I don't take her with me when I go. But because I have no warning when I'm summoned and can't return to the lantern until I have completed my task, I am unable to. I understand her sadness. After all, I know how it feels to be left alone. But in this matter, I am powerless, and I think she cannot imagine that I am powerless in anything. After all, she sees me working great magic in the lantern all the time. Her anger upsets me, but I can't imagine we won't be able to work out. She's my best friend. I don't want to lose her. I wonder did Gigi try to talk this out with Wiz? I thought having Wiz was a dream come true, but she becomes a nightmare. Wiz has been concealing her strength from me. She had grown more powerful than I realized. On my most recent summons to the outside world, she followed me, and to my horror, began to corrupt the finder, whispering dark thoughts and changing her desires, making her wish for evil things. As a genie, I cannot influence a finder, but Wiz is strong and has no such limitations on her powers. If it weren't for the magic mirror, I started to think what could have become of the world outside, plunged into eternal shadow. Thank goodness for the finder came to her senses, and wishes us both returned inside. For now, Wiz is hiding from me. She has her side of the palace, and I have mine, but I fear that she may soon control the world inside the lantern. I know she cannot, will not harm me, or at least I hope not. But I am afraid of what may happen should she grow even stronger. I must try to protect the finders from her influence, no matter the cost. But I do not know how difficult that will be, especially as I am unable to warn them directly. Stars and sand, what can I do? A very first day of November. How strange it is to finally date an entry, to finally exist as part of the world, rather than apart from it. So much has happened. Today will be my first day of school, with my new friends, and with hope for a new start. It is strange being a genie without a lantern. My powers are unfettered, but I've had to promise Headmistress Bloodgood that I will keep my magic to a minimum on campus, which is probably for the best. She says they never had a genie as a student before, and that will be an interesting amazing learning experience for everyone. For me, especially, I think Claudine tried to warn me that I would find school like so deadly boring after granting wishes for so long, but I told her that after being locked in a lantern for centuries, it's much duller than any biology class could ever hope to be. Frankie said I probably shouldn't mention that to the teachers, though they might take it as a challenge. For now, I am closing the book on this diary and starting a new one, filled with excitement and new friends, and new ways of making my own wishes come true.